I'm Madhu Sharma and this is Design Mind. Every episode we teach your mind about design by analysing a website. In this episode of Design Mind, we are analysing the catalogue design used by randco.com. The site sells high-end hair care products aimed at a fashion-conscious audience. As a result, the site also incorporates elements of fashion magazines. You might be wondering why a website would want to emulate the style of a catalogue. The reason is that catalogues, especially high-end catalogues, carry values of quality, prestige, luxury, and sophistication. They are also a key part of the shopping experience and so have a special place in the hearts of shoppers. Hence, reproducing the catalogue style will channel these values and tap into nostalgia, resulting in a more engaging and emotional experience. Let's start by analysing the front page. The front page doesn't actually look like a catalogue, as it starts off with this video introduction. While this is a great way of quickly positioning R&Co as fashionable, it does seem a little bit unnecessary. The video leads to the real front page, which has two key magazine-like features. First off, the headlines overlap the images and are placed at different sizes, which is a common feature used in fashion magazines. Although the layout follows a grid, the way the text overlaps the tiles messes it up quite a bit. This again emulates the look of fashion magazines, which often use this technique to look innovative and unorthodox. The downside of this style is that the page is very busy. It doesn't help that some photos use a Polaroid effect, which only adds to the clutter. Thankfully, the site uses this pager to ensure only 5 tiles are shown at any one time, which stops things from getting too crazy. The tiles are also differently sized, and this organises the content into a hierarchy. I really like the use of video for the lead tile. As mentioned earlier, the magazine style draws on the power of nostalgia. Using video adds a modern twist and so strengthens the emotional impact. It's as if the beloved magazine has suddenly come to life. Let's analyse the category pages. The category pages employ a horizontal layout. The photo content takes up 2/3 of the page and so emulates the look of wide format catalogues. On a less tall monitor, the products overlap the headline. This visually pushes the product forward, adding depth to the design. The footer contains shortcuts to the various categories. Clicking the All link causes the layout to change, with the heading moving to the side and then swapping out as the user switches between sections. I really like this effect simply because it's so original and unique. However, there are occasions where the products go behind the headline, and this spoils it as it makes it look untidy. A further negative aspect of the design are the headlines. As the page already has a lot of visual content, the designer has quite wisely made the headlines large and bold to let them stand out amongst the photos. However, the use of the purple colour takes things too far by making the headlines overly distracting. On this mock-up, I have changed the headlines to a lighter grey. This works much better as the headlines are still noticeable, but they don't disrupt the balance of the page. Going back to the real site, hovering over the products displays this coloured background. Again, this is another neat feature as it pushes the products forward, creating visual appeal. Let's now analyse the product pages. Here we are cycling through several product pages. They all follow the same format by making use of a white box that is overlaid on the background. The twist, however, is that the background is a video. The video extends the label of the product and so adds plenty of impact. The white background also works really well as it brings balance to the page, stopping the text from being lost amongst the video. The overall result is simply stunning. The More Information link takes this excellence further by displaying additional content in a hidden sliding panel. Hiding the content is great as the extra information is very visual, so putting it in a panel stops it from competing with the main product. Another benefit is that in a real paper magazine, content becomes hidden when you turn the page, so the use of a panel reproduces this effect. Another wonderful feature of this page is the Add to Cart functionality. The user is given plenty of feedback that a product has been added, but at the same time, the design is not too intrusive. One criticism of the design is the use of black for all the text, as it makes it hard to pick out key information. I actually missed this more link, as it doesn't stand out at all. In this example, I've again dialed back the strength of the black, and it works so much better. I've also replaced the more link with product usage tips, as this link is much more informative for the user. Let's look at the collective page. The collective page contains snippets of all the articles that cover R&Co products in famous fashion magazines. Like the rest of the site, it uses a horizontal layout, overlapping text, and extremely bold headlines. Unfortunately, on this page, these elements are just too overwhelming. Part of the problem is that, unlike the product pages, the magazine articles come in different sizes, resulting in less unity and less of a structure to rein in the more dominant elements. A further problem is that this page requires a lot of horizontal scrolling. Although the act of scrolling horizontally isn't that different from vertical scrolling, it still feels strange as it isn't a common action on the web, and so it can start to quickly take its toll. The page is by no means unusable, but the issues I've highlighted stop the page from being inviting to read. Let's analyze the lookbook page. The lookbook page works much better. It adheres to a tile format which gives it a stronger sense of order. Hovering over the image displays the model's name in the site's typical bold style. It's a little bit redundant as the name already appears in this pager at the bottom. However, it's a good idea, as although displaying a name doesn't tell us much about the models, it does mean they are no longer nameless, allowing us to form a slightly stronger emotional connection. Clicking on the photo displays this page. As the user scrolls, the white background overlaps the image. I really like it, as it recalls the action of flipping pages in a magazine. As with the product pages we saw earlier, hiding the image is also a clever organizational touch, as it naturally allows the user's attention to go from the model to the product, and stops the model and product from competing with each other. On the whole, this page works much better than the collective page, as there is less content. There is also a stronger sense of organization, and this makes the page much more inviting to read. Let's analyze the navigation. The navigation uses a mobile-style hamburger menu. I've discussed in previous episodes of Design Mind about how these menus don't generally work on desktop, as by hiding the navigation, they make it harder for the user to identify where they are on a site. The menus also require the user to make an extra click, as they first have to click to call up the menu before they're able to click on the links. On R&Co, however, these issues don't apply. This is because each page on the site has plenty of subsections, reducing the need to regularly return to the main navigation. Many of the subsections make use of this excellent breadcrumb bar. It's unobtrusive, but provides immediate access back to the parent section. Clicking on the hamburger button calls up this menu. It's way too overpowering, but as the site frequently uses overpowering headlines, it does not feel out of place. On the left-hand side of every page is a large margin that contains the site's logo. This not only replicates the style of luxury catalogues that often use such techniques, but it is also a subtle way of ensuring the branding is at the forefront of the user's mind. The large column of space ensures the logo does not get lost among the content. It also allows the logo to be small, which stops it from being overpowering. At the top right are the shopping cart and sign-in links. This is perhaps the only part of the site that looks like a traditional web page. Like the logo, it makes use of plenty of space to allow it to be accessible without being overpowering. Let's examine the use of animation. Most pages have this animation that is displayed before a new page loads. The animation flash only occurs for a few seconds, but I have looped it so we can analyze it. The animation cycles through the letters of the logo. I think it's trying to be edgy and trendy, but it ends up feeling a bit unnecessary, as it doesn't really add anything of value. Speaking of colour, you might have noticed that the text colour on the page changes each time the page is loaded, as demonstrated here. Again, this random mix of colour seems to be trying to emulate the edgy look of a fashion magazine. Like the animation, it doesn't really work. A further problem is that, as we have seen, many of the pages on the site are quite busy. If they'd used the same colour throughout, it would have helped to establish a stronger brand identity. But as it is, the continually changing colours only serve to dilute things. Let's finish this analysis by examining the site on mobile. It follows the design of the main site, but puts everything into a single column. In many ways, this works much better than the desktop version, as the more cluttered elements of the design have been eliminated. An open version of the navigation menu is placed at the bottom of every page. This is a brilliant idea, as it lets the user quickly go to the next page without having to fiddle with opening a menu. The product pages retain the basic style of the desktop version, but rework the content to be more mobile friendly. The video background is sensibly replaced with a static image to allow for faster loading times. Despite this, it loses none of the impact. The collection section also works far better, as by being condensed into a single column, much of the confusion is removed. The downside is that the page has become quite long and cumbersome to navigate. The large bold font used for the text is also tiresome to read. The lookbook section actually makes an attempt to cut down on the scrolling required through the use of this pager that allows the audience to flip between different images of the model. This is a great idea, as it makes the page easier to browse on mobile. However, I've noticed that on some devices it doesn't function correctly. A further problem is that the small size of the pages make them awkward to tap. In conclusion, R & Co does an excellent job of translating the style of high-end catalogues and fashion magazines to the web. In places, the design suffers from being too bold, which causes it to feel cluttered and unfocused. However, the magazine style instantly creates a high-end feel that communicates the superiority and quality of the products. That's it for this episode of Design Mind. A new episode is released every Monday and Thursday. Find us on the web at www.designmind.info. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/designmindinfo. You can also find us on iTunes. We'd love it if you could leave us a review at any of these places. Until next time, happy designing!